in our last video for our rotation series, we're actually going to use the protractor and compass for this video, so make sure you have those handy. And so the first problem we're going to look at is we just have a segment, LM, and we want to rotate it 220 degrees clockwise about the origin. Okay? Now, since we're doing about the origin, you might ask, well, can we use our rules? But we didn't have any rules for 220 degrees. So we're just going to have to do this one by hand. Okay, so about the origin, there's the origin. There's where we're going to be rotating things around here. And first we're going to need our protractor. And we're going to need to measure 220 degrees clockwise. Okay, so we're going to put the center of our protractor on what's being rotated around, which is the origin here. And I'm going to line up 0 with, I'll start with M. We'll rotate that first. Okay. Now notice if I want to go clockwise, I do have my protractor set up to be going clockwise here. Okay. Now, but it only goes up to 180 degrees clockwise. I need to go an extra 40 more. So how do I account for that? Well, one thing we could easily do is 220 degrees clockwise would be the same thing as 140 degrees counterclockwise. So we can do 140 because 140 is between 0 and 180. So let's do that instead. So I'll just flip this upside down. Okay, so now 0 is still on M, but now we're going to go 140 counterclockwise. All right, so let's mark 140. So here's 0, 10, 20, 30. So notice I'm using my inside numbers here since that starts at 0. And 140 would be here, which is on that same 40 line there. So I'm just going to put a little dot right there. And we're done with the protractor. Now, well, let's see. I'll just do this for this first example here to kind of give you an idea of exactly what's going on. So from our center of rotation, let's get a different color and not so thick. Center of rotation to M, center of rotation to our point we just put there. There's 140 degrees. Okay, now we know M prime is somewhere on here. It's not where I put that point. That's not the same distance as that. Okay, that was just giving me kind of a guiding line to know how or which direction I need to go in. So let's get that back. All right, here's where the compass is going to come into play. So take your compass, put the pointy end on the origin, and what we need to do right now is set our distance from the origin, what we're rotating around, to M. Okay, so we've set that distance now. Now all we need to do is come around, and we don't have to make this full circle, right? We can just kind of make a little mark right there. And at that location, there's where M prime is going to be located. Let's get rid of some of this in here. So now we don't need this anymore. And we don't need you anymore. And we don't need our little arc markup, which is now attached. There we go. Okay, so now we've got M and M prime taken care of. Now let's do L. So again, we're going to put bullseye on our center of rotation at the origin. And we said, remember, we're going to go counterclockwise, 140, instead of trying to go 220 clockwise. So I need to put a 0 on L. And come on. Right. There we go. Good enough. All right, and we needed to go 140, so I'm using my inside track numbers. And there's 140. So I put a little point right there to give my compass some direction. So we know it's going to be somewhere along here. Now you can draw out a line there, just like I did with the M and the M prime, but we don't really need it. that just kind of gives us some direction that we know it's going to be somewhere over in this vicinity. So now we're going to take our compass, pointy end on the origin. We need to set the distance to be on L. And so now we've got that marked. Now all we have to do is reach around over here so we do kind of need that one line. So it goes in that direction, and where the two cross, there is where L prime is located. So now just to finish off, we need to connect L prime to M prime, and there's our 220 degrees clockwise, or what we really did, 140 degrees counterclockwise rotation. Okay, and then the nice thing to do is just to clean everything up here at the very end. You know, get rid of any extraneous marks. For example, we don't need this compass mark anymore, so you could erase that. So that really the only thing you see in the end is segment L prime M prime, and you're done. Now, is there any real point of having the graph on here? No. So let's look at the second example, which is basically that. We don't have the graph on here, which is not really necessary. So for this one, we're going to rotate this segment, XY, but we're going to rotate it around point W, which is actually on segment XY. And we're going to rotate it 68 degrees. Now, since it doesn't say clockwise, we're going to be going counterclockwise by default. Okay? So, first thing to do, grab our protractor. We're going to put the middle on the center of rotation, which is W. And I'm going to have to move some stuff down just so I can see it. Let's throw you up there. There we go. Okay, and then I need to put the 0 on Y. Okay. And a protractor setup to be going in the right direction, counterclockwise. So now 68 degrees. Let's see. There's 65, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're done with the protractor for now. Now, I'm going to use a dashed line this time. So now, from W to that line, so we know Y prime is going to be somewhere on that ray. Throw that up there. Now here's where we need our compass. So put the pointy end on the center of rotation, which is W. We just need to set now our compass to be on Y. And again, now we can just mark, yep, we're on Y. So let's swing it around. Where it crosses, there's where Y prime is going to be located. So now we can get rid of this line. We don't need it anymore. Again, we're going to clean up any of our extra stuff we really don't need. So this we can get rid of. And so there's now Y prime. Now for X, it needs to go 68 degrees. So we break out the protractor one more time. Flip it around. Put the center on W. There we go. Now, I've got a magic protractor. I can extend and make mine larger. And again, I want to go 68 degrees. So there's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's 65, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Done with that. Throw it away. Now, from center of rotation out to that point, we're just creating the ray that we know X prime needs to be located on. Let me redo that. There we go. That's better. Now we just need to take our compass, pointy end on the center of rotation, once again, on W. We need to come over here and set our compass. Oh, mine doesn't reach. Not a problem. Hopefully you don't have this issue. I don't think you would. There we go. Again, I have magic compass. So we mark, come around here. And you can see that little mark I made with my protractor doesn't necessarily indicate that's where my compass is going to hit as well. So where that crossed, there is x prime. And so now we can erase and get rid of any of our other markings that we used. So we no longer need our compass mark. Gone. We can erase our protractor mark from earlier. And now all we have to do is connect. Get an actual solid line there. Yeah. Y prime to x prime. And one thing you'll definitely notice here is that W is still on Y prime X prime because it was the center of rotation and it was originally on XY, segment XY. So if your Y prime X prime is not going through W, something happened. Either you didn't get your angle perfectly right, maybe you didn't put your compass on the right spot, maybe you didn't have the distance set correctly on the compass, but your Y prime X prime should be going through W there. So again, with this example, the first example, or the second, the graph for this really wasn't necessary. We could have just said, hey, rotate LM, I don't know where L went to, LM, just to rotate it around this, and we get that. So again, graph doesn't play a big deal with the rotation when doing compass and protractor work. And that's all for the third video. So we'll move on to the next transformer, reflector, next week. So I hope I will see you then.